Well, hello everybody. You go to sleep and then all the news happens while I'm sleeping. So that's the pain of being out west. We're going to get into Donald Trump's statement yesterday. Western media, the US media is just slamming him. And the reality is, Trump breached the Constitution once. Biden's now doing it 7 times. 7 times. This seventh one is huge. It doesn't compare anything close to the gravity of what Donald Trump did. As bad as that was, what's much, much worse is Joe Biden on Vladimir Putin. Now, I can't translate tweets and Twitter anymore, whether that's through the new edition of Spaces or it's just the Canadian Emergency Measures Act. I don't know. They have all kinds of new long-term strategies beyond the Emergency Measures Act to limit what Canadians can see online, who they can communicate with through social media or even websites. So it is getting brutal. It's all a narrative, a crown narrative of those Commonwealth countries. That's reality. Joe Biden and his dirty Democrats that are still loyal to this. Now, don't get me wrong, everybody. It's not all Democrats. In fact, a lot of Democrats are bleeding out right now. We're going to see that all the way to midterms. Donald Trump makes a statement last night saying what Vladimir Putin did was genius. He's following international law. It's reality, folks. I presented the legal path to independence. I even put it forward in a political party with a legal platform to gain independence from autocrats like dirty Justin Trudeau and Stephen Harper before him. That's reality. Our first-class politicians here in Canada and abroad through the Commonwealth limit the powers of the people substantially. In fact, worse than any communism. That's a fact. Because at least in communism, as bad as that is, and I would never, ever support or want it, as bad as that is, it's worse when you have people who are superior, people who are mid-inferior, and then those the least inferior or even less than a human being. You won't find that in communism. You'll find one small first class and then a whole pile of equal to each other, which is wrong again too. A person should be able to strive for the I'll call that back later. Everybody always wants to call when I'm doing a live. This one's important. So Donald Trump states that what Russia's doing is legal. He agrees with Putin. It's genius because it is. It's international law, and it's waking Americans up to what they fought and died for more than 250 years ago, what they continue to fight and die for around the world. And this is not it. I'm going to state it again for those who don't know. Ukraine has not signed one international binding law, none whatsoever, absolutely none in human rights. They have zero. Russia, human rights, way beyond anything in Ukraine. In fact, Russia has cemented some of the greatest human rights we know in this world today. In fact, for indigenous women, they like to say, but I say the First Peoples women, today, enfranchisement, that is not an act of Canada. That was a forced measure by both the United States of America, China, and Russia, led by Russia and China, that ended enfranchisement. If it wasn't for Russia, largely Russia, who introduced it, pushed it through and made it binding world law, voted by every country in the world, including Canada, because Canada was scared. Canada gets scared when the world powers come together on things, as do USA and Russia. What's happening with Russia and USA and all the Western crazy media comes from the dirty side of the Democrats, the evil side of the Democrats, the kind of side of the Democrats much worse than any Bernie Sanders. It's the side of the Democrats that wants Unitarianism, an end of federalism, meaning No more 50 states, one centralized government ruling over you. If you don't call that communism, I don't know what else you want to call that. Do rural Americans want to lose the filibuster? Do rural Americans want to see each and every state lose its equality? Because under Joe Biden, there will not be 2 senators per state. It will be senators by the size of the largest cities, meaning states like California, states like New York will get an over and abundance amount of senators. And those in the small states will remain with very little. Soon it'll all be appointed senators. The federal government will want that. They'll want a majority reduced. So instead of 2/3, they're going to want only a 50% plus 1 of senator votes to pass things. Why would you want that? You don't want to be able to tear apart the constitutional process. It was built for a reason. It's built to keep the Federation strong. Any lunatics like Justin Trudeau or one Joe Biden who thinks that somehow he can make a stronger America by turning it into a unitary state where it's one central power rules over everybody, you're going to have major civil wars. If you don't believe me, folks, look at all over the world. You only end up with war and strife. Unitarianism, which leads to absolute centralization and autocracy, destroys large nations. You want to see an end to America? Follow whack job Joe Biden and his Commonwealth Charter 2012 loves. That's it. It's an easy document to read by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth and that filthy Prince Charles, who will be the next king. Boris Johnson's on the board. He reigns over the board, so he knows what the royal family's doing. In a sick, twisted British Empire sense, they want to return to that. UK's already unitary. They already do full customary law as they have zero codified constitutionalism. The government changes laws like they change shirts. They make new laws. A lot of people are not happy in UK. UK is doing tremendously bad. They'll do worse should they lose Commonwealth countries. I believe they will. Barbados woke up. Brazil's working to get rid of the Spanish embedments they have. All of those former colonials. Everybody's trying to get rid of it as best they can, but it always gets usurped by the politicians. We need to end this in Canada. We don't need to go to war with one Vladimir Putin. I'm going to tell you something, everybody. The United States of America is not going to go to war with Russia. They're not going to. They're not going to end their power. The only way they would like to do that is for Joe Biden to try to win presidency again and turn USA into a unitary state. How does he do that? By destroying the UN. If he destroys the UN, he no longer has to follow world-binding laws. World-binding laws that many American presidents before him crafted and created. The free world, so to speak. And this is what Joe Biden thinks will secure him power. He's a lunatic. He's off the rails. He's going to lose Senate and House come midterms. That's a reality. Any expert will tell you this. The guy's way over the edge, way off his rocker, and his last-ditch effort is to have conflict with Russia over European Union business where USA is not a member, using NATO in a manner it shouldn't be used. And of course, crown sworn loyal NATO insiders love this, want this. Justin Trudeau leads full tilt. Joe Biden is getting all of his presidential executive order ideas from one Justin Trudeau. An autocrat with an unelected Senate, full crown autocracy, full executive power, because not like USA, Americans don't even know this, but this is what Joe Biden is getting now in full sense and terms. He's following Justin Trudeau. He wants to be a king over the United States. It's immoral, it's illegal, and it can't fly in the United States of America. But desperate Joe Biden, for his Green New Deal, wants to force it home, wants to embrace the crown because he wants his own crown. The most unconstitutional president in the history of the United States of America. Why this guy isn't being impeached by Republicans is unbelievable, but it will come. It will come by midterms. You watch House and Senate flop, and you're going to see Joe Biden impeached for grievous, grievous violations of the people of the United States of America. It's going to be Democrats and Republicans alike. Their constitution is strong enough to weather Joe Biden and put him down, and they're going to put him down. It's going to take a lot, but it's going to happen. It's just, do we have the time? What in executive order is Joe Biden going to do before he loses complete House and Senate? And even beyond that, the powers of foreign policy. What kind of damage is Joe Biden doing around the world? Ukraine has zero human rights. None whatsoever. Nada, zip, zilch. I have the greatest experts from Ukraine, loyal to Kiev, love Ukraine and the idea of Ukraine as its own state. But what kind of state where the president runs on full executive power against his own constitution, against democratic principles of said constitution, ignores the constitutional court, the highest court of Ukraine, making his own judges in violation of that constitutional court. And Justin Trudeau says, this is great. This is wonderful. Oh, Ukraine has zero human rights. They want to be just like Canada. They want to be just like me. I am the current Nazi Hitler of the entire world. My country's been like this for its entirety. This is how deluded Joe Biden is. It's unbelievable. It's sick. It's horrific. The worst is Justin Trudeau. But he has swayed a president. He has President Joe Biden believing he is a god and he will be king over Americans. He's doing it already in foreign policy. The damage to America is severe in the international community. It's going to get much worse in the months to come as Joe Biden can't raise his popularity. So what's he going to do? I will go to war. I will use the constitutional power of war granted to me that Americans gravitate to, as do Russians. And who's the real winners here? It's not going to be Americans. It's not going to be Russians. It's not going to be the Chinese. It's going to be the Commonwealth, who wants to revert back to the League of Nations. They want to destroy the basic fundamental principles of the UN. Now, there's lots of autocratic nations, warlords, gods over their people as well, and full distasteful autocracies that will even support the Commonwealth because they want to return to a time where they can murder their people at will, order people to go to war to their deaths, slavery, debauchery, the worst kind of human rights violations. This is all true, folks. Share, share, share. Get it out there because it's huge and people need to understand. Donald Trump stands against it. And at least for that, I commend him. I commend him for that. Somebody's got to speak up. Be a leader for the Republicans. Bye now.